and a pleasant good day. Welcome to Voices. And with us, we have a guest. Let him introduce himself to you. He's no stranger to WinFM. Good day, sir.
Yes, greetings, brothers and sisters. Rascal Lungi here, the son of the Mau Mau. I'd just like to greet everyone here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, Liamigo, and Uli. From Bastille to Charlestown, from Gingerland to Sandy Point, from Connery to Bricklin, from Butlers to Challengers, from Connery to Newcastle. And we just say greetings to one and all brothers and sisters and comrades listening here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and those listening via the internet, in the diaspora. Brothers and sisters, a lot of things is taking place globally, and the geopolitical situation is changing rapidly. Now, we want to deal with what is happening basically with what is taking place in Venezuela, because what is happening in Venezuela have a direct impact upon us, because if you attack Venezuela, you're attacking us. You know what I mean? And you have some leaders here in the Caribbean saying that, we need to stay a zone of peace. But I don't think they have the proper understanding of imperialism, white supremacy, and fascism. Is that these people don't want peace. It's a continuation of the whole enslavement of our people, the colonization, what is taking place. And as Mr. Trump said, the white racist and white supremacist now is saying that he's going to reshape the whole Western world. You see, that's what people don't understand. They don't understand what the Monroe Doctrine is all about, because we like to talk about we independent. But the Monroe Doctrine proclaims that the whole Western world belongs to the United States, and no other colonial power should come in this sphere, because this is their so-called backyard. You know what I'm saying? People got to have proper understanding of these things. And when I tell them that we are not independent, they don't understand what I'm talking about. So Mr. Trump said that he have a new policy now, the Monroe Doctrine. He upgraded the Monroe Doctrine, and he's going to reshape the whole Western world. That's what this thing is about. It consists of everything that is taking place. Now, I'm a member of the Movement for National Unity. I'm calling for unity amongst all people in the Federation. Whatever you believe, whatever your philosophy, I'm saying to you, I could present the facts that what is taking place, is to keep exploiting our people in a new day. Because Eric Prince, I don't know if the audience is familiar with Eric Prince, but Eric Prince states clearly that he's going to recolonize Africa and African people. President Macron of France says that black people are ungrateful for wanting to be free. These are his words. There's also a French professor who's saying that we can't let Africa develop itself because we need the natural resources, we need the raw material. So I'm saying to you, this is not nothing I'm making up. These people are telling you what they're going to do to us. Now, before I get further, I want to highlight some things. Right, in terms of what say, one people, one aim, one destiny. What Granny say, one Pan-African Parliament. What Granny say, one Pan-African passport. What Granny say, one Pan-African currency. And to use the words of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, what Garvey say, self-esteem, self-respect, self-determination, and self-reliance, and self-sustainability. So we're talking about what the Honorable Marcus Garvey has said and what we need to do. We need to be self-sufficient in every way.
Well, let me interject.
I also want to point out basically that.
Let me interject. Okay.
Go ahead.
You're gonna have to keep that headphone up there. If you don't keep it up there, we cannot communicate. You need to. I don't know, because your hat is so big. Your hair, you have a lot of locks like myself, but you have even more than me. You're gonna have to find a way to get that to fit on your ear.
I got you, man. I hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Your topic is quite fitting. I realized that I would have to hold in on voices today. I didn't expect you, but since you're here, your topic fits into what I want to discuss. So it's going to be an interaction between yourself and myself, okay? So before you start to continue along the vein of what you're saying, I'm going to start by playing a clip, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so listen to this.
Max Blumenthal, a lot to unpack. First of all, on that point about the attacks on these boats, there'll be a lot of Americans who'll say, well, if they are drug smugglers, happy days, why should we care?
There are not a lot of Americans who believe that. Only 29% of Americans, according to a recent Reuters Ipsos poll, support these murderous attacks on supposed drug boats without due process that have killed citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as Colombian citizens, and caused British government to suspend intelligence cooperation, as the virtual ambassador James Story just acknowledged, on a series of WMD-level lies that haven't even been explained to the American public, which is why only 21% of the American public, according to that poll, supports this criminal regime change war in the making, which will negatively affect them. That's what Story meant when he referred to knock-on effects, meaning more mass migration. The big lie of this war is the Cartel of the Suns. The Cartel of the Suns was literally created by the CIA, also known as the Cocaine Import Agency, to ship 22 tons of drugs into the United States in the early 90s through its main point of contact in the pre-Chavez Venezuelan National Guard, General Ramon Guillen Davila. And he wore a patch on his arm that was a sun. And so they just called it the Cartel of the Suns as cover. This was also during the 80s under Reagan. They thought they would use these drug shipments to gain intelligence on drug traffickers in the U.S. It wound up poisoning our own society. The CIA, for doing that, should be classified as a narco-terrorist organization. Then there's Tren de Aragua, the supposed gang that Nicolas Maduro is said to control by the Trump administration. That's another WMD-level lie that U.S. intelligence exposed in a declassified April report from this year. And you know what happened? Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard came out and presided over the firing of the two officials who exposed the lie that Maduro controls TDA and is invading the United States. Why are migrants coming to our shores? It's because of the coup program, the regime change program that virtual ambassador and coup manager Jimmy Story and other U.S. foreign policy apparatchiks oversaw, which brought Venezuela's economy to its knees by 2020, reversing all the gains they had made when Hugo Chavez slashed extreme poverty by 50%. This caused mass migration, and it's not just according to me, it's according to Thomas Shannon, who was Undersecretary for the State Department in Donald Trump's administration, who said U.S. sanctions reduced Venezuela's economy to dust. He told this to the Washington Post, and it caused outmigration. So if Donald Trump is going to fall into Marco Rubio's selfish Gusano games, we are going to see another massive wave of migration to the U.S.-Mexico border. And whether you're on the right or the left, you do not want that, and you cannot fall for another WMD series of lies that will produce a Libya in the Western Hemisphere.
And you note how he ended that? Producing a Libya in the Western Hemisphere.
Exactly. You wait on the ball.
This is what they intend.
Exactly.
And look at it. Look at it. All of a sudden, the United States of America president is concerned about his citizens. But if you listen to that, this very same United States government used the CIA to bring drugs into America. But then they wanted to disseminate the blacks. You understand? That's what I'm saying. And they didn't have a problem then if it wiped out the black community. Only now, recently, the blacks are getting over that, you know. You understand? But see what they forgot. they seem not to realize that we're all human beings. As much as they try to segregate and say we are beneath them, they came from us. And if you bring something and you contaminate us with it, it's going to eventually contaminate you. So now that it's contaminating them, all of a sudden they have a problem. But we do not, as a Caribbean archipelago of islands, want the United States to come down here and create a next Libya, which is what they intend to do. They want to come down here, cause havoc, cause our leaders to go against each other. We get so much in disarray that they come in and they say, we have to bring back order. And then they control. Go ahead.
But you're so right. I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying, is that our people don't understand these things. Now, you're talking about when I was in Brooklyn, I mean, they had crack houses in the community. Quint, I'm telling you, people used to be laying up outside the crack houses. And when we go to close the crack house, the police in the community know where the crack house, and they're not closing it.
Not closing it.
These are things I experienced. So what I'm saying to our people, like you said, they put drugs in our community. I don't know if you know about Gary Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was on it, and then he was eliminated.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to show our people, they're attacking us in the United States. They're attacking us in the Caribbean. They're attacking us all over the Western world. And they're attacking us in Africa itself.
And you know why they're attacking us in the Caribbean now? Because they realize a lot of the African Americans come from descendants of the Caribbean. A lot of us migrate from the Caribbeans and live in the U.S. and expanded, send back monies, blah, blah, blah. If you were to go back to the roots of a lot of the Americans, and now you find they're calling themselves original something.
Yeah. Come up with that stupidness.
Which is another bunch of stupidness.
Yeah.
It's a divide and again. You understand?
You're right.
Yeah, so they're coming up with this, but if they're going to their roots come from here in the Caribbean. It is because of us in the Caribbean why they fought so adamantly for freedom, because before they were more of a passive people. It is when our foreparents, people like Marcus Garvey, went up there and told them, you are a proud people, be free. Yeah.
So, what I'm saying, I want to read something here from the Honorable Marcus Garvey, because this is what is taking place. These people is readjusting, reshaping the so-called Western world. And I want to play a clip from Ben Norton so people could hear what the plans are. But here what Marcus Garvey said. The political readjustment of the world means that those who are not sufficiently able, not sufficiently prepared, will be at the mercy of the organized classes for another 100 or 200 years. The only protection against injustice in man is power, physical, financial, and scientific. So, what I'm saying to you, Brother Quinn, that the clip that you play is so apropos for what is taking place. But I'm going to play a clip myself so people could get to understand what the plans are, because in the Caribbean, especially here, with the SSZ, is the whole reshaping of the Western world. It consists of that. And my position is a position of the movement for national unity. We are not here to attack anybody and call anybody names and all these things, because you see the divide don't start taking place.
Yeah.
People don't start calling each other names. I'm saying to our people, it's time we unite, trash out our differences, repent for our sins that we have done to each other, and atone for our sins, and come up with a program which I call the 7 principles of Kwanzaa as a guide in order to lead us.
Hold a second. We have a caller. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good morning, Quinn. Quinn, good morning, and good morning, West Kalunji.
Yes, sir.
West Kalunji, you got to stop using the word deal, saying that we ain't know what's going on. If you and Quinn know what's going on, people out there in St. Nevis know what's going on.
No,
I don't like to hear it. You're making it sound like we're so backward.
No, what I'm saying.
People are up to what's going on in the United States. Really, they like us. Really, they like us, you know. What's that?
Go ahead.
We are glad for the knowledge, and this is the talk we should be keeping up
Go ahead, Colonel.
Yeah, but he's saying that, right? So I want to know if you want to join the movement for national unity. Because what I'm saying, what the colonialists want us to do, Brother Quinn, is keep fighting one another. I'm not here to fight nobody. I'm laying down certain principles and guidelines that we could follow in order to liberate our people,
Yeah.
and keep this thing from happening. But I want to play this clip here by Brother Ben Norton so people could understand what is taking place.
Yeah.
The
Go
United
ahead.
States is waging war against Venezuela. This is not a hypothetical. The question is not if the U.S. government is going to wage war against Venezuela. It already is. The U.S. military has bombed numerous boats surrounding Venezuela, killing dozens of people. Trump has publicly admitted that he ordered the CIA to attack Venezuela, and the U.S. military has 10,000 troops preparing to further escalate. The real question is, what is Donald Trump's plan? Is he going to send planes to directly bomb Venezuela in its territory? Is he going to send U.S. Special Operations Forces and CIA teams to try to assassinate President Nicolás Maduro? Today I'm going to be looking at the evidence showing what Donald Trump's true plans are for Venezuela. And I'm going to start by pointing out that Trump hasn't really hidden the fact.
You got a call? Oh. Okay. Go ahead.
He wants to steal Venezuela's oil. Back in 2023, Trump boasted that in his first term as president, he came very close to overthrowing Venezuela's government.
I'm going to shut
He
it off.
boasted that the U.S. would have taken over Venezuela and stolen its oil.
Venezuela. How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
Now, it's no secret that Venezuela has the largest known oil reserves in the world, and this is a big reason why, during his first term as U.S. president, Trump launched another coup attempt back in 2019 when he appointed a little-known right-wing opposition politician named Juan Guaido as the so-called interim president of Venezuela, despite the fact that Guaido had never participated in a presidential election. So this has nothing to do with democracy. That may be the rhetoric that some people in Washington use, claiming they want to restore democracy in Venezuela, but they actually don't care about democracy at all. The US government has supported the worst dictatorships in Latin America. Like in Chile in 1973, the CIA overthrew Chile's democratically elected socialist president, Salvador Allende, and installed in power one of the bloodiest, most repressive dictatorships in the history of Latin America, led by the far-right general Augusto Pinochet. And this is exactly what the US government wants to do in Venezuela today. And it's not just oil that Venezuela has. This is a country that is very rich in natural resources, including...
That's it.
Okay, because I want to take a bit of a commercial break. When we come back, you can go into what you just played and your other clips. Like I have some clips here. They're about 7 minutes, 5 minutes. One is kind of long, 12 minutes, but I know the length of them. Can't be like 20-something minutes and that kind of stuff. Okay? So I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break and I'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
Rams the good food people, always there to serve you. Rams the good food people, locations right near you. Rams the good food people, in-store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. Rewarding your loyalty. Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
If you need protection protection, you need one who you can trust. To secure your investment, you need one who'll do you just. TDC Insurance, you're the one that you can trust. TDC Insurance, you're always safe with us.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind.
You're always safe with us.
And we are back again. I'm going to go straight to you, Kalonji, so that you can explain the last clip that you just played.
Well, basically, what Bernard was saying that this thing has nothing to do with drugs, what is taking place in Venezuela. And, it's a reshaping of the Western Hemisphere, as I said. Now, the Monroe Doctrine now, this is the 202nd anniversary of the Monroe Doctrine. And as I said, the Monroe Doctrine clearly states that the whole Western Hemisphere belongs to the United States. Basically, that's what it entails. So, what happened now, we have the Dano, because when Trump was inaugurated, right, in his speech, he talked about the Monroe Doctrine. And now we have the Dano Doctrine, where he's reshaping the whole Western world. So what I'm saying to our people, as African people in particular, because as the most oppressed people in the world and down-pressed, we have to support people everywhere in the world that is facing the same predicament as us. It doesn't matter what color the skin is. Once people are being oppressed, we have to support the cause because we were the most oppressed. You see what is happening in Gaza, what is happening in Sudan. Imperialism and the fascist forces is behind all. What is happening throughout the whole globe is the imperialist forces, doing these things to suppress people from getting the true liberation and wanting to be free.
And the funny thing about it is that they're using the term democracy to do it. Imagine that. I mean, we grew up and we heard about democracy, and now we realize that the democracy that the West has been putting has been nothing but a dictatorship. You understand? They come, how can it be a democracy when we're here in the Caribbean, minding our own business, doing our boats, fishing, whatever? Yes, there will be nefarious individuals who will push their drugs here and there, but they are minority compared to the commerce that happens in the region, and you're going to feel that you're so big and mighty you can just come down, put the biggest aircraft carrier in our area, and think that you can intimidate us. Look, when Trump was campaigning and he said he was going to annex Iceland, he was going to do this and do that, you think he was joking? You understand? If this man can now come in and take over Venezuela, which I'm telling you, he's not going to get it happen, It's not going to happen. Because I'm going to play clips that show you we're in a different kind of world. The America, they're too late. The West, you're too late. France and all of you, you're too late. You've made your mistake. You've had 400 years of stepping on our necks, beating us, exploiting us. We've seen through you by now. And now we have allies. And you can say what you want about our allies, but let me tell you, you're not going to be able to go in and get Venezuela. You know why? Venezuela is linked with China now. You understand? Venezuela is linked with Russia now. You understand? So where we as the Caribbean are down here, naive and saying, oh, America has its big warship here and they're going to take over. No, it's not going to happen unless they want to usher in the next World War. And I don't think America wants that, right? Because the way how Russia is setting up here, Russia has warships in the region too. Russia has submarine. Russia has, a caller called in and spoke about Russia sending a plane to Venezuela and not taking the usual routes. How naive can people be? You expect Russia's going to send a plane and let it go over enemy's airspace? No, you're going to take the airspace of your allies to get here. So now the reason why they're there, nothing has happened yet, is because now they're faced with a problem. If they want to take over Venezuela, the only way they can do it is to stay out in the sea and bomb Venezuela. They cannot go underground. They cannot. It is the population of Venezuela alone, a militant population, is a force. And that jungle terrain, you crazy? So they came down here to think their bluff. And now, let me play this clip. It's kind of long, but just listen to this.
Let's rewind to early 2025. The United States decided to deploy what economists call a financial nuclear option against Venezuela's oil industry. The first step was revoking Chevron's license, halting the last major US-operated oil production in the country, which was producing over 100,000 barrels a day. But the real game changer was the policy rolled out on April 2nd, 2025. Unprecedented secondary tariffs. Here's how that worked. The US government told every nation on Earth, if we catch you buying even a single barrel of Venezuelan oil, we will impose a 25% tariff on all of your exports to the United States. Not just your oil, but everything from electronics to furniture. This 25% tax would make any country's goods uncompetitive overnight. The goal was mathematically precise: reduce Venezuela's oil exports to zero by making the cost of buying from them catastrophic for any other nation. It was the most aggressive use of US economic power in the region in decades. The US assumption was simple: no one would risk their access to the $20 trillion US economy for a deal with a struggling Venezuela. But this assumption had a fatal flaw. It didn't account for a player that didn't need to make that choice. By 2025, China and the US were already deeply entrenched in a trade war of their own. Chinese exports to the US had already been facing significant tariffs for years. The US threat of a new 25% tariff was less of a deterrent and more of a minor adjustment to an existing reality. More importantly, China saw past the immediate threat to the long-term opportunity. With every other potential buyer scared away, Venezuela's oil was suddenly available at a potential discount China could now negotiate from a position of immense strength. This move by the US didn't create a problem for China. It cleared the competitive field for them, allowing Beijing to secure a strategic energy source for decades on highly favorable terms. The US sanction, designed to create scarcity, instead created a monopsony, a market with only one major buyer. With the field cleared by the US sanctions, China didn't just quietly start buying more oil. They made a statement. In September of 2025, while the world was watching the fallout from the tariffs, a Chinese company was quietly installing the first major new offshore oil platform in Venezuela's Maracaibo Lake in years. This was a massive, long-term investment. The project's goal was to ramp up production from a modest 12,000 barrels per day to a staggering 60,000 barrels per day by 2026. Think about that. While the US was trying to shut down Venezuela's oil industry, China was actively investing over $1 billion to build it back up, but this time under their own control. This move sent an undeniable message. China isn't just passing through. They are digging in, literally and financially, for the long haul. They're not exploiting a temporary situation. They're building a permanent foundation for their energy security. Back in 2023, Venezuela became the first country in all of Latin America to achieve what China calls an all-weather strategic partnership. This isn't just a fancy diplomatic title, it's China's highest level of partnership, reserved for its most crucial allies. This status means that regardless of changing global politics, China is committed. It's a promise of unwavering political and economic support. When the US dropped its tariff bombshell in 2025, it wasn't hitting a loose alliance. It was hitting a pre-fortified relationship. Let's talk about the real chain that binds Venezuela to China: debt. Over the years, China has loaned Venezuela a staggering $60 billion. This isn't a cash loan being paid back with cash. It's a special arrangement where Venezuela repays this massive debt directly with oil shipments. This creates a closed loop. Venezuela must send oil to China to pay its bills, and China is legally entitled to receive that oil. This isn't an open market purchase that can be scared away. It's the settling of a pre-existing, legally binding debt. So, even if the US wanted to stop this oil flow, they can't. Here's the painful irony for the United States. While trying to punish Venezuela, they created a massive problem for their own energy industry. Specifically, refineries along the US Gulf Coast, in places like Texas and Louisiana, were specially engineered over decades to process a specific type of thick, heavy crude oil. And guess who was a primary supplier of that perfect type of oil? Venezuela. These multi-billion-dollar facilities can't just easily switch to a different type of oil. The result was an immediate and costly scramble. US refineries had to find alternative suppliers, often paying a premium for heavy crude from places like Canada or the Middle East, and facing complex and expensive retooling processes. The US sanction didn't just hurt Venezuela, it handed a multi-billion-dollar problem to American companies, increasing their costs and demonstrating a critical blind spot in the strategy. While US sanctions did cause Venezuela's overall oil exports to fall by 26%, they failed in their main goal. Instead of collapsing, Venezuela's oil flow simply rerouted almost entirely to one destination: China. The data is stunning. China was now taking 663,000 barrels of Venezuelan oil every single day. That represented a massive 80% of all the oil Venezuela was selling to the world. To put that in perspective, the United States, which once was a major buyer, was now receiving a mere 128,000 barrels per day. This isn't just market dominance, this is near total control. It's a complete reversal from just a few years prior, and serves as a clear data point showing that the US strategy of isolation didn't work. Instead of crippling the Venezuelan oil industry, it just handed its control to a single strategic rival. But China's plan was always bigger than just oil. In November 2025, they unveiled another masterstroke: a zero-tariff trade agreement with Venezuela. This deal covered 400 different types of products, from agricultural goods to manufactured items. Why is this such a big deal? Because it moves the relationship far beyond a simple resource grab. This agreement starts to tightly weave the entire Venezuelan economy into China's own global supply chain. It's not just about China taking Venezuelan oil, it's about creating a market for Chinese goods and securing other raw materials. This zero-tariff deal is the economic glue that makes the partnership permanent. It builds a comprehensive ecosystem of dependence and mutual benefit that is far harder to break than a simple oil-for-cash deal. When we step back and look at the complete picture, what happened here amounts to one of the most significant geopolitical miscalculations in recent memory. The United States deployed what it considered its most powerful weapon: financial isolation. The expectation was straightforward: cut off the money, and the government would be forced to concede. But this approach revealed a critical blind spot in US strategic thinking. They were playing by an old rule book, one written for a world where America was the only economic superpower that mattered. They failed to recognize that we now live in a world with multiple economic ecosystems. China has spent decades building parallel financial institutions, supply chains, and diplomatic alliances that operate outside of Washington's influence. When the US sanctions hit, Venezuela didn't collapse. It simply pivoted fully into China's waiting economic orbit. The US didn't just fail to achieve its goal, it actively accomplished the exact opposite. They handed China a strategic victory on a silver platter, gifting them control of vital energy resources and a firm foothold in America's backyard at a bargain price. It was a move that weakened US influence, while simultaneously demonstrating the limits of its power. The outcome of this confrontation is more than just a shifted oil contract. It's a clear indicator of a new global reality taking shape. We are witnessing the end of the unipolar moment, the era dominated by a single superpower, and the solidification of a multipolar world order. In this new landscape, power is distributed, not concentrated. The Venezuela case is a perfect microcosm of this shift. A country under extreme pressure was able to not only survive, but secure a powerful patron because a viable alternative to American power now exists. This has fundamentally redrawn the geopolitical map of the Western Hemisphere. China is no longer just a trading partner for Latin American countries. It is a strategic guarantor, an investor in critical infrastructure, and a diplomatic shield. This changes everything. It means US policy in its own hemisphere must now be crafted with Beijing's potential response in mind. The rules of the game have changed. This event proves that in the 21st century, coercive strategies carry immense risk, and the most significant consequence of any action may not be the intended one, but the unintended empowerment of a global rival. We have entered an era of strategic complexity where every move creates ripple effects that can reshape the global board.
Yeah, kind of long. But you see, in that you get a synopsis of what is happening. The United States has played itself. It played itself because Mr. Donald Trump, who doesn't really understand how the world should go, he came in and he fooled everyone into saying, I'm going to drop these tariffs around the world. And it has backfired. And the United States now sits from a place where she realized she's fast losing the kind of clout that she had. But that clout came from beating people over the head. You understand? Don't even look at just Venezuela. Look at Guyana just next door. Guyana and its president, the U.S. only wanted to offer them 2%. You understand? The Guyana leader has renegotiated because of places like Australia and Canada, and has been able to get a 60% deal. You see the big difference here? So the United States now is trying to play catch up, but it's too late. Unless the United States want to usher in the next World War, which I don't think they want to do, the world is going to be fast changing. Kalanji, you can chime in.
But you're so right, my brother. And what I'm saying is that I'm calling upon our people, because the movement for national unity here, you understand? We're using the 7 principles of Kwanzaa as a guide, you know, talking about which way forward for our people, because the white supremacists is showing you clearly that they have nothing else in order to deal with but military might.
Yeah.
You talk about democracy earlier. President Aristide was so-called democratically elected twice.
Yeah, twice.
I don't believe in democracy. Democracy is a farce. You understand? And what I'm saying that when the brother passed away, what he named again? Married to the lady from here, the sister was, right? Randall Robinson. I went to the funeral.
Yeah.
President Aristide's wife was here.
Yeah.
She spoke at the funeral and she told us how they were kidnapped and taken to Africa.
Yeah.
You see? So what I'm saying to you is that all this talk about democracy and all these things, you know, them is just things to make you sound...
Well, let me chime in. I hear what you're saying, but here's my stance. I still kind of believe in democracy, but not the democracy that has been pushed, the so-called democracy that has been pushed down our throat. I believe in a democracy that lives up to what it's purported to be. I believe in a democracy where individuals have the right to choose and to govern. But that has not been what has been happening for 400 years. For 400 years, the colonialist system has been setting up their own regimes and calling it a democracy. That is why you can't believe in it, because it has been a farce, as you says, right? But if we really want to see true democracy work, then we have to let it play out where people make their own choices. You understand? I mean, the perfect example is Aristide. Aristide comes in, you take him out. I mean, you have an elected government in Venezuela. You want to kill the man, take him out. You put a bounty on his head, and you want to put in somebody who you give the Nobel Peace Prize, who has already stated that she will sell out the country to Israel.
I mean, brother, and what I'm saying, like I said before, they're telling you exactly what they want done. They're not hiding it like before. Because now what happened now, we're in the era of fascism. Fascism is the open terroristic dictatorship of the most reactionary, chauvinistic form of imperialism and capitalism. So they're not hiding what they want to do. They're telling you basically, look here, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to shoot you. You know, it's like a stick up. You know what I mean? You know, when somebody want to shake you down, you got to, if you have a business or whatever you're running, the mob come on and tell you, well, every week, you got to give up a certain amount of money. This is what is taking place.
This is what they're doing because, example, Grenada. This young man is the leader of Grenada. They go in there and they're giving the man an ultimatum saying, you have to make a decision. The poor fella, he's afraid because you know how those generals move. Out in the public, they're going to speak diplomatic, but when they're in there, just him alone, they're going to tell him point blank, if you don't follow what we're doing, we're going to take you out.
Exactly.
You understand? So he now has to toe a thin line. And this is why we have been saying in the Caribbean that you have Caribbean leaders have to come together and unite. They've been counting on our fragmentation, and the good thing about this is that only one of them so far has been leaning on that side, and that's Trinidad and Tobago, and she's going to find herself more and more in a bit of a predicament. Hello, caller.
Hi, good morning, Quint.
Yeah, good day, Africa.
And good morning to you again.
Yes.
Kalanji.
Yes, sir.
Kalanji, Quint, I want to refresh your memory to something that was overlooked, to be honest. The subtleness of the recolonization of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
There was a gentleman came from Curacao or Aruba or Bonaire.
Yes.
I met him in the circus. I took a picture with him and the lady. They went on and they came back and they was on a program with Sacrity.
Yes.
And that program should have been delved deeper into because they wanted to reiterate what was happening. And Kalanji did spoke about the SSC momentarily earlier. But it's a common thread that links all of these issues, be it on the continent where Trump...
And Africa, I want you to elaborate a little bit on that individual who came here. Why did he come? What was happening in his territory?
In Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire, you know, they had Dutch colonies.
Yes.
And with some latest development in the Caribbean, in the Dutch West Indies, as they will call it, Saint Martin, maybe and others, Curacao maybe, they have gotten certain amount of autonomy, whereas others did not get that sort of autonomy, that sort of privilege in terms of their the governing and so forth. So within the Dutch Caribbean, some has gotten that right and some did not. But what we are seeing down there and what the gentleman disclosed to us is that there is an influx of people from Holland that has overpopulated the local indigenous local people in terms of claiming lands, in terms of rights to registering to vote, in terms of having the influence and the say
even in terms of, look, this is how serious, even in terms of they come in and they control the whole civil service, so that locals who were employed in the civil service, they just drastically start phasing them out, and you see these other Caucasian individuals taking their place. And these people,
Yes.
these
As a resurgence of the recolonization
Yes.
that is taking place. Now, Kalanji mentioned the SSC, and that is what is happening. But when the gentleman wanted to really have a say, you know what I mean, and really shed more light as to what is happening, because they say when your house is on fire, when your neighbor's house is on fire, you have to wet yours. We are all in this thing together.
yeah.
And so that is what I sense, and that is what is fast happening now. There was another incident in the British Virgin Islands where some high official was caught, that pretends he was caught with narcotics, and where the British dissolved the Parliament of the British Virgin Islands, maybe Tortola or something like that. That, again, it was another sign, earlier sign, probably 8 months, a year ago, where we needed to pay more attention to, and we did not. Had we did that, we would have been prepared for what is taking place with the SSV and how it's been alleged from certain quarters that the SSV Act is not just our local attorney general and what it is. It's not just him alone. The allegation is that there are other imprint behind him for certain legal luminary like Casey Wilkins could have come and shed light on that act. Some things that they have the eyes and the ears, the eyes to see, where the ordinary persons might not have seen it or overlooked it. They came and shed light as to how shady this thing is. And like me in legal parlance, in jurisprudence parlance, all of these things, they're slack. They're not watertight matters of the legislation where, it's what I love other people, like the investors, to do as they may.
You see that example that you showed with the British Virgin Islands? That again is another important one, because here's a leader of the British Virgin Islands, and what the British are purporting is that because you can't run your country, we're going to come back in and we're going to take over your civil service, you're going to take over blah, 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 and we're going to run your country.
That's what everyone said.
Yeah, right? So I mean, and you know what really annoys me, disturbs me, is that recently I heard the leader of Nevis on something to do with maybe it's whatever the party caucus or whatever the party has and so forth, and he made this statement saying, they say nothing to do. Long time they keep saying nothing to do. With they ain't got no jobs and I get no work, and now something I do, they want to stop it. And I'm looking at the man and I'm thinking, but this is what you're saying is I do?
That's colonialism.
This is what you want to come, so that because we were starving, now you're gonna come and put a sweetie in our hand and take over everything? I mean, come on.
But
similarly, how befitting it is, the timing.
He's off on
Similarly,
the microphone. Yeah.
our Prime Minister
Africa, what I'm saying, what happening?
Africa, hold a minute.
What happening
Don't
in-
speak too loud, Kalanji,
Yeah.
because you have a big voice already.
What
Go ahead.
happening in Nevis, right? We could do that. What we're proposing, we could do that ourselves. That is my position.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, we could do that.
Why you want these people to come take over your water, take over your electricity, run your geothermal? I mean, come on. We fought for 400 years to be free.
Exactly.
Not to reach this point where our leaders are going to hand it back over to people. No, we will not tolerate that. Go ahead, Africa.
So see how befitting it was for the Prime Minister to have announced of persons who probably would have on land, it probably fell under the squatters' right, to make an announcement and to bring a ceremony as to granting those persons the legal wherewithal, the titles for those pieces of land, and the significance of land ownership But on the greater side of it, on the most enormous side of it, you made provision for swaths of land in Nevis and no doubt on Sinkets to be taken over by these people. So here it is, you're giving us trinkets and you're giving us a candy, you know, at the same time, you're taking the whole hog.
Yeah.
And you're giving the whole hog to someone else. You know?
Yeah.
Insulting. Very insulting.
Very
to see that.
Insulting to our intelligence.
Yes.
I mean,
So-
it is like these people feel that they are the only one who went to school and studied. They felt all of us went to school just to eat lunch, just to wait for lunchtime so we could eat. We went to school to learn too, just like you. You understand? So now when you come in front of us, don't think you're looking down on us. You're looking cross. We're looking eye to eye. Don't come with this nonsense about nothing was I do, so now something come at. Look, this isn't simple politics. You're coming with simple politics. That simple politics way has gone. Done with it. About nothing I do, so something I do now. So you're going to put a sweetie in our hand and give away all. Let's take a bit of a commercial break and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
This November and December, it's triple the fun at Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Shop on hire purchase during our triple cashback season and get triple cashback coupons for free groceries. Plus, a chance to spin the wheel to win every Friday.
Join Sugar Bowl live in store as 3 lucky customers each week spin for fabulous prizes. From flat screen TVs and small appliances to housewares, free groceries, and much, much more.
It's excitement, rewards, and comfort rolled into one. Triple the cashback, triple the prizes, triple the fun. Only at Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Hosford's, where style, comfort, and savings live.
The right time, right ride, right now at Horsefoot's Automotive. Buy now or reserve for VAT discount days, Friday, December 12th and Saturday, December 20th, and get our lowest rates ever. Plus, enjoy up to $17,000 on select models. No VAT and no down payment. Drive away with finance with Horsefoots and get free bill of sale, free servicing for 12 months, free registration, free tinting, and even free groceries or gas for 3 months. Because the right time is here for the right vehicle with the right deal right now. Visit Horsefoots Automotive right now. Drive smart. Drive Horsefoots. Terms and conditions apply.
And the time is 2 minutes past 11. Kalonji, I'm going to go right back to you.
With the SSV, what we are saying, what we are proposing, right? The movement for national unity. We are saying that our people got to come together here in the Federation, in the OECS, in CARICOM, and the whole Western world. Because we are talking about the Republic of New Africa, the black nation in the Western world. It's over 800 million of us. So what we are saying that we are proposing, we are saying that all Africans, all black people, should be made citizens of the Federation of Sinkers and Nevis, and not only here, wherever black countries are, we should be made citizens. Okay? And what we have the Republic of New Africa cooperative, where black people all around the world could invest in terms of what could take place in Nevis, not only in Nevis, anywhere in the black world. So with this cooperative, the Republic of New Africa Nation Cooperative, whatever they want to do in Nevis, we could do it ourselves.
Well, I kind of follow you on that, but I'm very wary of one thing I do. One thing I want people to understand when you hear my voice here. I have no agenda. I'm not aligned with anything. So whatever Kalonji puts in terms of whatever cooperative or whatever, that is him. You understand? that is him and whatever he wants to
No,
play
we're
out.
saying anybody who wants to take
but
part.
my perspective is all I want is our people to understand the world we live in presently, where we want to go, and how we want to get there without people leading or saying they're leading us, and they're leading us down a wrong path. Go ahead.
Let me highlight some things.
Hello.
Hold a minute.
Okay,
We have
go
a
ahead.
caller. Caller, go ahead.
Yes, grand rising to you, Kalunji. I appreciate the discussion. I just want to add, this morning in the first hour, Kalunji, you mentioned Trump and Emmanuel Macron. Let me highlight European Commission, High Commission Ursula von der Leyen, who stated publicly, and I'm just going to paraphrase what she said. Now, she was at a forum where she was talking to the European Summit. And her words, we have to use the same strategy we use in Ukraine into Africa, and more specifically, Burkina Faso. She went further to say, here we have one of the poorest countries in Africa is on a rapid rise. And she stated that our future, this is a German speaking to Europeans. Our future depends on this rise that is taking place in Burkina Faso, one of Africa's poorest countries. Now, Kalunji, this morning you said that our unity is needed, but I go further, Kalunji. Our unity and knowledge of self, because when Africa was in kingdom and queendom, they were dwelling in caves. When the King Charles and the Buckingham Palace, they copied our kingdom and queendoms and give the world that they are the benchmark of our liberty. Everything that they have in their space, they have copied from us. You're calling on our unity, Kalunji. Our unity has to come with knowledge of who we were. Now, today, our politicians are going along to get along. And I've been saying this all along. They have brought this war to us on so many different spheres. Our tradition, well, their tradition, their literature, their education system, their religious system, and their political system. We are going along to get along because we are looking outside of ourselves. Now, what is taking place in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, I hope you guys realize there is no military weapon was used to kick out France and American military troops. No weapon. That in itself is so profound to us that we don't need weapon. We need unity. We need knowledge of who we were and who we ought to be. Our politicians on the continent of Africa, some of them, and in the Caribbean, we are going along to get along because the mind of the oppressor is trapped in the body of our politicians. They are not leading, they are following. Our unity and knowledge of who we are is going to cripple the misery of Europeans on us. I'll try and get back in, guys, later.
Okay, we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, good morning, Quint, man. Good morning to you and the guest. Kalanja, man. What's up, man, Country? How you doing, man?
Good to hear your voice, man. I hearing you all the time.
Yeah, man. I know you was missing for a minute, but I want to say thank you for coming on today, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, because what I'm saying, what is taking place, especially in Nevis, we could do that ourselves. That is my position.
Yeah, true.
We could do that. We could do that ourselves. Go
You know,
ahead.
Kalanja, man, I want you to always, my small request will be to maybe stay on that. Well, just for me, you know what I mean? I like to get the historical context, like coming out of slavery, how we were able to get those lands. And, you know, the Bucky's uprising is always going to come in the mix.
Well, listen this. This coming up next year. This going to be the 90th anniversary of the Buckley's Uprising. Next year going to be the 129th anniversary of the Portuguese Uprising, right? The Dred Scott decision. Quint, I don't know if you're aware of the Dred Scott decision.
I might know, but I can't recall.
The Dred Scott decision. This is the 188th anniversary. The Dred Scott decision states that the black man has no right that the white man is bound to respect.
Yeah.
Go ahead, my brother.
And with those words that you just echoed, very strong words. And this is my personal take, man. You see that we were lucky to get our hands on those lands coming out of slavery, and we are now giving those lands back. You know, these white people, you know, I'm sorry to put it like this, but they're not going to respect us, man. Our old colonial masters, they're not going to respect us. And they're, like you being truth in the fact that we are going to be recolonized, and in St. Kitts and Nevis in our small space, we have to pay attention to that because it's happening right in front of our eyes. And there is not enough national mobilization. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? You're in a relationship and you're getting abused and you're going to just stay in that relationship? Man, at some point along the line, people has now just seems to be happy with bad treatment. Man, when you're getting bad treatment, you got to resist it. What we've seen happening over in Nevis with that Destiny Project proposed to become there, we should stand up against that. We should not tolerate that. You know, we have to realize that the law, what was passed, is a federal law. And they're using the initial stage is happening over in Nevis, but it's going to come over to St. Kitts as well. They really don't have plans with St. Kitts. So both islands, they got to mobilize. The people on both islands have to mobilize. Me, personally, I'm in a foreign country, and I'm here just because of my personal story put me where I'm at right now. But God is in control.
But
if I was on the ground, yes, go ahead. Yeah, my bad, go ahead.
Let me interject here because you see what you're saying? I agree. But let me put emphasis on a word that Kalanji has been using over and over. Unity. You see this unity thing? This unification? This is what is saving us so far from this SSZ, you know. As ironic as it may sound. Because here's the thing. When whoever came to Mark and conceived that idea, Mark could not on his own implement it. He could not because Nevis is part of St. Kitts Nevis. So because Mark could not implement it on his own, he came down here and he put it to the parliament down here. I'm still baffled as to how and what he said that enticed the parliament down here to get onto it. But the parliament down here, for whatever reason, decided, okay, it sounds like a good idea. We're going to sign off on it. We're going to push it through, but we're going to let Nevis be the example. We're going to let Nevis be the guinea pig. We're going to let Nevis be the scapegoat. So here you have two islands, Nevis. Mark couldn't implement this on his own. St. Kitts couldn't implement it on its own either because Mark has rights over there as the leader on Nevis. So even though these here on St. Kitts decided we're going to buy into it, they wanted to sit back and see if the experiment was going to work, because if the experiment worked, it was an easy fix to all of them. Rather than getting off their butts and doing the job the people employed them for, this was now going to allow them to sit back, let some people come and promise to do everything, and they were so blinded that they didn't realize that, as Sylvian often says, he who pays the piper plays the tune, decides the tune. The parliament down here didn't seem to realize that as long as you allow these people to come in, they're going to have control. They don't have long-term vision. They're narrow and short-sighted. So here is it now. Listen to Mark, and Mark adamantly wants to continue with this at nowhere. I'm getting no impression that Mark wants to disassociate himself or stop this, right? And the fact and the fact that he doesn't want to shows, here's the problem Nevis would have faced. If Mark had autonomy and he didn't need the federal government, you understand that you all would have already had that SSV over there? I'm asking you.
Agree with you, Quinn.
Yeah.
Repeat that again. Repeat that again.
I am saying that if Mark didn't have to come to the federal parliament, Nevis would already have a SSV. He would have already come to the division.
Yeah.
He would, because he wouldn't have need. So here is where unity come into play.
He would not have need the federal parliament.
Okay, so here's where unity come into play now. You know why we are surviving to this point? Because we're unified. Both the government on St. Kitts and both the government on Nevis, they decided they were going to go along with this scheme, but because Nevis has a certain level of autonomy and the federal government has a certain level of autonomy, this is why it hasn't really gone through fully. So this
you got it, Chris. You got it absolutely correct there. And I'm behind that statement you just make 100%.
So, and I said that because a lot of people, when they saw what was playing out on Nevis, they started to talk secession. And I had to remind them that if you had already seceded, Mark would have already gotten that SSV over there, and you would have lost your land.
But Quint, you talk about secession.
Yes.
You know, the secession argument didn't start with us.
I know. It started way back in the planter class.
The white people in Nevis.
Yes.
Wanted secession from the white people in St. Kitts.
Yes, because...
Continuing it?
Yes, because the white people in Nevis, first, Nevis was the metropolis, you know. Nevis used to export all the thing and so forth, and they were the wealthy ones. But when they realized the fertility of St. Kitts and St. Kitts became the metropolis, those on Nevis decided, well, they were being segregated against, they weren't having their rights and blah, 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 and they wanted to secede.
Let me give you a specific case. In 1909, there was a hurricane that took place, and Nevis was not hooked up to the telegraph system because back then they used to use telegraphs, right? So Nevis wasn't hooked up to the telegraph system. St. Kitts was hooked up, so they know that the hurricane was coming. So what happened is that the hospital in Nevis was destroyed.
Yeah.
Right? And it took a while before they rebuilt the hospital. So there was a Mr. Libert in the legislature, in the council. Back then, because I was the council, right, part of the legislature. And he said that based because of how St. Kitts was treating Nevis. Now, this is 1909. Black people ain't nowhere near no politics.
That's it.
And he was saying that he will willingly see a separation from St. Kitts.
Yeah.
And you see what I'm saying now? In this dispensation, our leadership is carrying on the same colonial legacy.
I've always been saying
the same thing.
And some people get annoyed when I say it. There's some people, Sylvine is one, seems to get annoyed every time I say colonialism, we're going through neo-colonialism.
Exactly. You know?
Yeah. So Burl, finish your point, Burl.
Yeah, well, for me, you know, I just want to keep lending my voice to the objection of that Destiny project, and keep encouraging the people to, because it's really disappointing to see where our politicians are trying to take us, and once we lose our lands, we're going to lose our independence and our sovereignty.
You know what is ironic?
Let Burl finish.
Oh, okay, let me finish.
Go ahead, Burl.
Yes, and like you said just now, Quint, it's like the people is movement. They're coming out, and they're coming out more and more, and they actually seems like they're slowing down the project, because people are starting to unite around, you know, stopping the project. You know what I mean? And they just want to keep encouraging them to keep agitating. And I'll leave it there, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay, before you come in, we have another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes. Good day to everybody and greetings once more in Jesus Christ's name. And like I normally say, we need to become a republic and get out the British Commonwealth, and the quicker the better. Yes, and greetings in Jesus Christ's name, the only Savior of sinners from the sins and from hell, through the gospel only and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, also I would like to say that as discussion are being had here with you and Kolonji and the callers concerning the SSC and so on, I would like to say this, okay? God give us the government we deserve, and he has been and still is giving us the government that we deserve for our destruction and ruin, and will continue to do so if we do not biblically repent and start to obey his word. And if things would only get worse and worse for us once we continue of going down this road of disobedience to the Bible as a people. And where unity is concerned, the only unity that works for human thriving, success, prosperity, survival, and so on is the unity around, in, and of, and by the Bible only. All other unities are counterfeit, devilish, destructive, ruinous unity. Yes, so that is what I would love to say. To Jesus Christ be the glory, as he only is the King of all kings and the Lord of all lords over all. Thank you.
Okay, Kalonji, you may finish your point and then we'll take a commercial.
I want to inform the nation and our people. In 1626, both the French, because remember the country was split into between France and England. In 1626, both France and England, they were fighting a war here, right? They stopped the war in 1626. This is going to be, next year, going to be the 400th anniversary of the massacre of the native people in this country. And we're talking about, you hear what Mr. Trump is saying in terms of recolonizing the whole hemisphere. You understand? To extract more wealth out of us. And this is very important. We people got to understand history. 400, next year going to be the 400 years where France and England liquidate the indigenous population in this country.
Yeah, hello caller.
Good morning, Mr. Moderator. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I want you to be kind of brief because I'm due a commercial break, but make sure you make your point though.
Okay, I'm sure they'll be as possible. First of all, let me thank you and Kalanchi for keeping up this fight against this SSD and to educate the people of St. Nevis as to what we are facing. I came across two things yesterday by accident. One is Mr. Jansen speaking about the land in Nevis and the setting up of this zone.
Tulu, hold a second. You sound kind of muffled. Is there any way that your voice could sound a little bit more clear?
Let me see. This is a little better?
Well, we're going to have to work with it. Go ahead. Make your point.
Okay. Yes, so I said I came across Mr. Jansen, and he said something that is very vexing. Because he's trying not to buy up all the lands out of Nevis for his own. But then he says that the people of Nevis will be able to buy back land inside that zone to do business or to live. That isn't a slap in the face of the people of Nevis because they know nothing of us. He's telling lies to us. So then, if Nevis, the owners of land could have been a part of the zone, why you didn't build your zone around the person who has land inside it?
Yeah, that makes sense. And not only that, Tulu. Here's the other thing. It is easy for people to hear, well, you know, when we get that zone, you can buy land in there. But the cost, imagine you, Tulu, you sold, just join an example here, hypothetical. You sold your land for 5,000, right? But when the land is in the zone now and you want it, it's for $500,000.
And that is the reality that we have to deal with. That these conmen that Mark Bradley and Timothy and Dr. Joe brought upon us and want to force upon us they are willing to say anything to get what they want.
Yeah.
And we got to see that these people are taking us for a ride and that they're insulting the integrity of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, and that we must take a firm stand against this. Then the second thing that I heard, Jansen is saying that some people does not trust government, and he not trust government. Okay? And so that is why they want no government inside their zone. They want to do what they want because he don't trust government.
Yeah.
But our government is willing to allow himself to be used by him, who don't trust them, for him and his friends to get what they want.
Yeah. But here's this too. Here's this too. This kind of zone that they want to put here, right? How is it that the United States of America is so vast and there are so many other countries? Why is it they want to come down here in the midst of us as a black people to do that? Why don't they do it in their own place that has a vast amount of land?
According to them, they wanted an area where they find a small government, where they find government that's going to depend upon them, and they were able to find an ally in Mark Blanquier and Dr. Drew. Both of them are claiming that if this zone doesn't come off, St. Kitts and Nevis will not survive.
Yeah,
so they have surrendered.
Yeah, but we've survived this far. We survived this far because we had a few leaders in the past who were creative enough in their ability to think and to come up with ideas and concepts, and we've survived this far. So you're telling me that this present new, younger set of brains lack the ability to be creative in terms of thinking forward for their own country?
That is what both of them indicated, because when the premier is saying that if this zone doesn't come off, maybe it will be no more. And when the Prime Minister is saying that we need this zone for survival, then it tells you that both of them are not fit to be leading this country because they do not have any vision, they do not know where to go, and so they need to move out of the way and put people in office who know what needs to be done and can do it.
Yes, I agree.
And so I am encouraging the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to stand up against this. Now, you cannot tell me that I must sell you my house that I live in and then turn around and buy back the very same house from you later on.
At a much higher price. That is
at a much higher price.
Yeah. That is if you, which we know is the lie, they're not going to sell it back to us. That is not going to happen. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the time, my brother.
Okay. So, Kalanji, make a brief point and then
No,
take a
what he's saying there, right, is interesting. But my position is, and the position of the Movement for National, we could do that project ourselves.
Yeah, but you keep saying that, right? But here's my thing. My thing is, rather than thinking of getting this, if we are going to do something like that, it would have to be down the line. Right now, what we should be thinking is of a government taking little step by step to advance the economy and the country. You understand? This big chunk of utopia and heaven is not going to happen right now. Okay? So what our governments need to do is what has been done in the past by other governments. Come up with an idea, get investors to come, put down some businesses, some factories, some whatever, get some more hotels to come here, get some more links between us and the neighboring islands so that we can develop our agriculture, because we have neighboring islands that don't have the fertility of land, who can depend on us for food. St. Martin is one of them. This is what the little steps you need to do, but they're not doing the little things. They're sitting on their laurels and then coming up with this big, glorious story, and we're supposed to buy into it and think that we're going to go to sleep tonight, wake up tomorrow, and St. Kitts and Nevis is going to be smooth sailing ever after. That does not happen. It has never happened before, and it is not going to happen again. Let me take this final call before the break. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Quinn.
Yes.
Quinn, I want to say good morning to Tulu. And where you just outlined there, Quinn, you're so right. It's not going to come overnight. The government should be thinking about going to these people and telling them, man, come build a hotel, come get a factory, go to Taiwan to ask Taiwan to get a tire factory. This is how we should be thinking. Not just going taking junks and giving people. When you're aware that some land, the fine over there, we are in the register, and Mark want to just give the people in the land. What? 100 and something.
Jam down. Jam down. Jam down. Jam down. You see, jam down doesn't listen. Jam down. Jam down. Jam down. You see, sometimes jam down. Jam down. We're supposed to be working together, you know. This unity thing isn't a farce, you know. It's supposed to work in every aspect. When you're called to speak, listen to me. When you're called to speak, also be able to listen at the same time. I do not want you to come on and to say things as if though they are fact when we cannot. Listen to me. That's what. So I am saying the statement you just made, where you're saying that they found out. Always say. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not going to keep telling you the same thing. When you're going to bring information that is not valid, that you're not sure of, say it has been alleged. It has been a. But we don't know about. Look, we don't know about it, and I'm not. Well, look, if you're not going to listen to what I'm saying, we're going to have a bit of a breakdown.
I'm listening you.
I am saying, jam down. Whenever you want to come with information that you feel you know, and that you feel Tulu know, that we don't know because we don't see it. We don't see it in a forum, in a newspaper. It has not been published. I would advise you to say it has been alleged that they found some land and the leader, do not call his name. The leader of Nevis, we know who it is, right? The leader of Nevis, it is alleged he wants to give back that land. This is how you must phrase your thing. Otherwise, this is how you kill the goose that lays the golden egg. You want a voice so that you can express yourself. You cannot be callous when you're expressing yourself, because when they come at WinFM and they shut down WinFM or they shut down Freedom, what voice you have? So this is what I'm saying. We want you to bring the information, but if
it's out there.
It's out there, but it is not fact. We're not sure of it.
It's fact.
You see this? But I don't.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so do you have do you have a problem with when you do you have a let me get you clear on this. Do you have a problem with saying it has been alleged that so and so and so?
No.
Okay, so then I would.
Public figures who representing us, name must call.
So I am saying whenever you come with that information, say it has been alleged. Okay. Okay, no problem. You finished?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
But when a man invests himself into us and put himself before us, to get public office, they have to, the name must call.
Yes, but when we call, but when we call their name, we must have. But when. But you keep going back to the same thing. You keep going back. Look, you see why we, Kalonji, you see why we as a black people have this problem? You see why we have this problem? Because even when we're supposed to be fighting for the same cause, you get all this if and ands and buts. All I'm saying, and you know me, Jam Down, I know you, I respect you, you respect me, so let that respect be an ongoing thing. You understand? Don't let it be that you're going to come and you're going to be doing things that's going to be negative towards our cause. You have something to say, don't think because you sat down on a bench with some others and you clash head and you say, yeah, this is fact, because no. Come and say it has been alleged. I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break. Kalanja, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to take a
I'm
bit of
listening.
I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break, and I'm going to be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
The right time, right ride, right now at Horsefoot's Automotive. Buy now or reserve for VAT discount days. Friday, December 12th and Saturday, December 20th. And get our lowest rates ever. Plus, enjoy up to $17,000 on select models. No VAT and no down payment. Drive away with finance with Horsefoots and get free bill of sale. Free servicing for 12 months. Free registration, free tinting, and even free groceries or gas for 3 months. Because the right time is here for the right vehicle with the right deal right now. Visit Horsefoots Automotive right now. Drive smart. Drive Horsefoots. Terms and conditions apply.
This November and December, it's triple the fun at Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Shop on hire purchase during our triple cashback season and get triple cashback coupons for free groceries. Plus, a chance to spin the wheel to win every Friday.
Join Sugar Bowl live in store as 3 lucky customers each week spin for fabulous prizes. From flat screen TVs and small appliances to housewares, free groceries, and much, much more.
It's excitement, rewards, and comfort rolled into one. Triple the cashback, triple the prizes, triple the fun. Only at Hosford's Furniture and Appliances and Ashley Furniture Home Store. Hosford's, where style, comfort, and savings live.
And we're back, but before I come back over to you, Kalanja, let me make this statement. This is why people who know me, they've seen me for years, and a lot of people don't even know that I can speak, like, that I have a voice, that I think a certain way, because I walk alone, because I've learned that the people sometimes who want to see good and change, and they put themselves out in the front, the very same people they want to help are the people who make sure they get eliminated by their foolish actions and get excited. You put a mic in front of them and they just get excited and they say things and they kill the person who's supposed to be charting a course for them. You understand?
You finished?
No.
Okay.
Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey. Let's go way back to St. Louverture. We know one of the persons who overthrew him was one of the individuals who was supposed to be right in his corner. You understand? And I'm not one of those who's going to go down that road. I am here. I have a job to do. I would like you, the public, to be enlightened and to know certain things. But I'm no Messiah. I'm not a Jesus Christ. I'm not going to sacrifice myself to be put on no cross for your stupidity, for you being anxious, for you being excited, foolishly so. I am saying if you're a rational being and our objective is to make sure that the people know what they need to know, that so that we can chart a course forward, be responsible at all times. Don't let me having to come and baby you. You understand? Don't let me, when I say something, I'm not talking nonsense. So you're going to say, yes, I hear you, I agree with you. But then you're going to say, but it's out there. That isn't the point. The point is that we must be responsible, because when you have a cause to fight for, you have enemies. This is why I keep telling people, this is not a sugar-coated candy kiss world. This is a hard world, and if you're going to survive, I didn't survive to be my age by being some little nicey dandy. I'm not a monster, but anytime you chip on me, I'm going to retaliate. You understand? So that is why I walk alone. Hello, caller.
Hard work, and if you're going to survive, I didn't survive to be my
Hello,
age.
caller. Listen to the phone.
Yes, I'm listening. It's me again, but I just had to turn down the volume of the phone. I just had to turn on the volume of it.
And be brief.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Go ahead. Be brief. Because you've
Yes,
called
I'll be
him.
brief. No, what I'm saying is this, okay? For example, let me give a practical example. Now, if we do things the biblical way, for example, we will share up the land, the government land, to families of St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, Nevis already don't have really so much of a land problem, but more for St. Kitts because we have a bigger land problem of locals owning land. And that's what, if we would do things the biblical way, that is one of the things that would be done. Sharing up the land between the families of St. Kitts and Nevis, of St. Kitts, the government lands, and give the families land big enough so that they could do proper agricultural works on, put down apartments, stores, eateries, markets, and not only that, but when it comes to hotels and that sort of stuff, I'm not against foreigners, but I want to see the vast majority of the hotels owned by locals. They may not be big
But
and
hear
fancy
this,
as the foreigners.
hear this, Greg. I do not disagree with what you're saying, but hear this. It is not as easy as just the government going and giving back land to people. Before the government, this is why I say our governments need to have imagination and think long term. If a government, understanding that governments are continuous, has this plan down the line, the first thing governments must do is to educate the people. Let the people start making sure you get grants or whatever so your people can be educated on commerce, how to run an economy, how to run a business, how to do certain things, how to develop land, the pride that one should have of owning land, and how one keeps land into posterity. If governments don't do that, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have a lot of people, you give them land, and you know what they're going to do? I can guarantee you the majority of the people, black people just like me and you give land, soon as they get an opportunity, they're going to sell that land because they're going to be thinking about a flashy car, maybe going for a trip around the world, and blah, blah, blah. So, yes, I hear you, but our governments must be thinking of educating our people so that down the line, when you pass the legislation and you say, you know what, we're going to start to give out lands, you're giving out lands to people who you know have been trained and who are going to carry that land and the importance of that land and how running their economy is essential down the line. You understand?
Yeah, but Quint, I would any day take the choice of the people to know better than the government because you leave it in government hands. Yeah, government going to show some crumbs at the locals, but they're going to give out the big swat and the best to the foreigners. Okay? It's one out of the two. So I prefer to take my chances with the locals.
Repeat what you said just now because I was speaking to someone.
Yes. If you leave the land in the government hands, okay, what's going to happen is that the government are going to sign away big swaths of land to foreigners. That's what's going to happen.
But hear this, Greg. But hear this. If you say that,
prefer to take a chance with the people.
No, I disagree with you because you're not listening to what I say. I said governments must be thinking long term. If government, it's six at one, half a dozen or the other. If government intends to just hold on to the land and don't have proper imagination and initiative, eventually they're going to do what you say. The opportunity is going to come. They're going to be thinking of quick money, quick turnover, get something to fool the people so that you get the next 5 years. That is going to happen. But also, if you don't train the people and you give the people the land where you're saying it's quicker, I prefer to give the people the land, it's the same thing is going to happen. So whether it's a government or the people, it's going to be the same thing that is going to happen.
I don't think so because I think the foreigners...
Greg, hear the word you're using. Greg, hear the word you're using. You don't think so. You know why
I don't think so.
You know why you have to say you don't think? Because you and I cannot say factually that it is going to be so. It is more likely that I'm not saying all, but the majority of the percentage of the people, they're going to sell the land. Because
I disagree.
You
because
can
the people are smarter than the government.
look, Greg. Look at the world we live in today. Look at the world we live in. You know how much money? Let me show you an example. I know that the telephone companies are sponsors here, but I'm going to say this. You know how much money? I jump on a bus from Bastia, and it's 45 minutes to get to Sadler's. And for that 45 minutes, I see numerous people on the phone for 45 minutes. And I'm assuring you, after that, I jump out the bus after that, approximately 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, they're going to be continuing, right? Look at black women. Black women, a lot of you are not going to like this, but me, I'm straight up. Black, beautiful women. The Creator made you black and beautiful. Your eyelashes are perfect, but yet still, because it's fashion, you go and you spend money and you put on this big, monstrous look. Yes, it's your life, you live it how you want, but why is it that you feel you're not beautiful unless you put on these artificial things?
But let me say this, because we don't have a national consciousness. We
Yeah.
need to be educated in that field.
You hear the word you use? Educated.
Yeah, national consciousness.
So,
Go ahead.
Greg, that is my point.
And Quint, let me say, I would bet you any day that government lands remain in government hands, the foreigners will get much more than they would get if they were privately given out to the families of this federation. I would bet you that any day, because the people are smarter than the government.
I would not disagree with you on that part. The way you phrase it just now, I wouldn't disagree with you on that part, because it is quicker that the government will sell out the land than all the people selling out the land. So I agree with it. Depends on how you phrase your thing. When you're speaking to me, remember I listen, okay?
Yeah, Quint,
I want Kalonji to be able to have a good say, because we've been kind of hugging them.
Let me say this quickly. I want to see the major employers of this country to be locals. I want to see the major people who providing jobs, maybe it hotels also, because they own them, to be locals. Foreigners, I think, supposed to get the remainders.
Okay.
The locals supposed to be the head and not the tail. But it is vice versa.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I agree, because
I agree with that.
everywhere you go, they make sure the.
That's why I'm saying that we could do that.
Yeah.
But let me say this, Brother Quinn. When FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was asked what, in his opinion, was the single greatest threat to the United States of America, he responded, African unity. Hear this now. This is Mr. Bradshaw. A speech by Robert Bradshaw, our national hero. We are gathered here this morning, collectively, to make history by assuming the greatest responsibility which could fall to a people, namely, to take over by law absolute ownership and control of all the really productive lands in this isle of our birth, for our mutual benefit and for the benefit of posterity forever. As serious people, we assume this great responsibility soberly and even reverently, being mindful of the fact that rank and responsibility carry inexorable obligation. As I see it, the most important of those obligations are pride of ownership, good husbandry, and absolute commitment by all of us to add our labor and apply our talent to the bounty of the good earth, so that all may benefit from the harvest.
And that's Bradshaw.
That's Bradshaw. When he passed the law, took the lands.
So how come, what party is in control right now?
The Labour Party.
Okay.
Yeah.
What party you said?
The Labour Party.
I specifically wanted you to repeat that, okay? What party Bradshaw led?
The Labour Party.
Okay. And who you say leading now?
Prime Minister Joe.
And what party he's controlling?
The Labour Party.
But so why then we are
but
seeing
what
such
I'm
a
saying
big
now,
difference?
my position is that whatever is proposed, we, the Movement for National Unity, we could engage our people, not only here in the Federation, but throughout the globe, to do exactly what is happening in Nevis.
Okay, we have a caller. Hello, caller.
Sorry, Quint. Sorry,
Yes.
sorry to cut him a second. I don't think I'm against, okay? Having as law, okay? Because it is biblical that you cannot permanently, a local cannot permanently sell his land. Because that, I see in the Bible that when the local Israelites gave out lands, for example, to other people, including foreigners, it was to stay in the hand for 49 years and then turn back over to the family who sold that land. So that's the idea that I don't think I'm against.
Yeah, okay then. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Haiti had that policy.
Exactly.
Haiti,
And then
Haiti in their constitution, no foreigner was supposed to come and own land in Haiti. It was not supposed to happen. It's the Americans who went in and changed that.
In 1915.
Why? Why did the Americans go in and change your original country? Look, all that Haiti is going through right now, the West is responsible for it.
Exactly.
America does not want to see, listen to me clearly, America does not want to see Haiti free even today.
Not only Haiti, but African people in general.
Yeah.
You know? And here's the list of all the invasions that took place from 1823 when the Monroe Doctrine was proclaimed. You know? So what is happening with Venezuela and the whole Western world? The Monroe Doctrine, President Trump, want to reorganize, rearrange, to exploit and extract more wealth from our people and the region. And
Yeah.
our people have to have that understanding.
Most definitely. I'm going to play this clip. Listen to this.
Something is moving quietly across the Caribbean. Something fast, something strategic, and something Washington did not expect.
I'm going to start it from the top. When I play these clips, remember, you're not listening to black people speaking. You're listening to white people. So those of you who like to stay out there and say, oh, you know, he's only speaking from a black perspective. The clips I play, the majority of them are white people, and a lot of them American people, Western people who sat down, see what is going on, and disagrees with it. So let me take this from the top and come again.
Something is moving quietly across the Caribbean. Something fast, something strategic, and something Washington did not expect this soon. New intelligence reports reveal that Russia has begun deploying its Oreshnik hypersonic missiles inside Venezuela, placing one of Moscow's most advanced strike systems right on America's doorstep. If this deployment is confirmed, it means Russia now holds the ability to strike key U.S. assets in the region within minutes, shifting the balance of power in a way the Pentagon hasn't faced in decades. Why Venezuela? Why now? And what message is Moscow really sending? We uncover the capabilities of the Oreshnik system and the geopolitical shockwave that may reshape the Western Hemisphere. One thing is clear, this is no ordinary military deployment. To understand why Russia would position a hypersonic system this close to the United States, we need to look at Venezuela, not just as a country, but as a strategic platform. For decades, Moscow and Caracas have maintained a quiet but steady military partnership. Venezuela operates Russian air defense systems, trains its officers in Moscow, and regularly hosts Russian naval task groups in the Caribbean. In other words, the infrastructure, the politics, and the trust are already in place. But things intensified in recent years. As U.S. pressure on Venezuela increased through sanctions, political isolation, and support for opposition groups, Caracas grew more dependent on Moscow for survival. For Russia, this created a rare opportunity, a foothold in America's immediate neighborhood. For Russia, this is more than a military move. It is a geopolitical signal. If NATO positions missiles near our borders, we can do the same near yours. At the same time, analysts believe this deployment, if confirmed, isn't meant for an attack, but rather to stretch U.S. attention and resources, forcing Washington to watch both the Eurasian front and its own backyard. This is how modern power projection works, not just through firepower, but through positioning, timing, and the psychological advantage of being closer than expected. The first signs of a possible deployment didn't start with a missile. They started with a ship. Satellite observers noticed unusual activity involving several Russian naval vessels, including a support ship capable of carrying sealed military containers. Its route was subtle, passing the North Atlantic, slowing near the Azores, and then descending quietly toward the Caribbean Sea. No public announcement, no military escort, just a steady, deliberate movement. When the vessel approached Venezuelan waters, tracking data briefly went dark. By the time the ship reappeared on civilian radar, it was lighter, and analysts believe this is when the Oreshnik system was offloaded. But a missile system like Oreshnik doesn't simply arrive. It requires a prepared location, a place with security, political cover, and the ability to operate independently. That's where Venezuela's military bases come in. Sources point to two possible locations: a strategic base near Puerto Cabello, a heavily guarded area with existing Russian-built infrastructure, ideal for ground-based missile units and close to deep-water ports for discreet unloading. A remote installation near Lake Maracaibo, far from population centers, with easy access to hidden roads and forest cover. Perfect for mobile launchers designed to avoid detection. From these areas, the Oreshnik can be moved on transporter erector launcher vehicles, similar to those used in Russia. These vehicles are fast to set up, difficult to track, and can change position within minutes. This pattern mirrors Russian doctrine. Keep the opponent guessing, keep assets mobile, and keep the pressure constant. For the United States, this creates a completely new layer of uncertainty. Not only is a hypersonic system positioned close to American territory, its mobility makes it incredibly difficult to monitor. In real time, a deployment like this is not just a show of force. It is a calculated move designed to shift the psychology of deterrence. Russia didn't just send missiles, it sent a message packaged in steel, speed, and silence, and delivered right into the Western Hemisphere. The moment U.S. intelligence confirmed unusual Russian activity in Venezuela, Washington shifted into high alert mode. Reconnaissance flights over the Caribbean increased. P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft were rerouted. Satellite tasking over northern Venezuela was doubled. Behind closed doors, military commanders reviewed contingency plans not used since the Cold War. The U.S. wasn't afraid of a launch. It was afraid of not knowing where the Oreshnik units were positioned from hour to hour. In modern warfare, uncertainty is a weapon, and Russia had just placed that weapon less than 2 hours from American shores. So now the Western Hemisphere is staring at a reality it hasn't faced in decades. A Russian hypersonic strike system positioned closer than anyone imagined for the U.S. This isn't just a military challenge. It's a psychological shock, a reminder that great power rivalry is no longer confined to Europe or Asia. It can appear anywhere, even in America's own backyard. Russia knows exactly what this deployment means. Venezuela knows the leverage it gives, and Washington knows that ignoring it is no longer an option. The balance of power has shifted, quietly, strategically, and with a missile system designed to change the rules. And now the world is watching.
And Kalonji, I know you've spoken about it on different occasions where, because NATO was just going up and crouching on the man's backyard all the time. You see what has happened now? You see how it plays out? NATO has a right to come and put strategic weaponry around Russia. And now look what the United States of America has done. Because of the big stick policy, you push Venezuela into the arms of China, and you push Venezuela, because this is what used to happen. Once ago, when the United States wanted to do something, you either just gave up or they came in, they killed you. But it's a new world now. Because China has developed where it is now a superpower, India is becoming a superpower, Russia is a superpower, because now the dynamics are changing. So the United States and the West can't do what they used to do once ago. It's a psychological game. This is why we haven't had the United States already invading Venezuela, because there's a psychological war going on. So while you're listening to your mass media who don't want to tell you the truth and gives you only negative about Venezuela, you better wake up and understand what's happening.
But that's why Queen, that's why our unity gonna come, because even though we don't see the necessity to unite, they're gonna force us to unite because of what they're doing to us. Just
But
like
that is it.
Exactly. So how are we gonna unite?
They force Venezuela to seek assistance.
Exactly.
Remember, when Chavez was in, he and America were friends. You understand? He got along with America, but when Chavez realized they were digging out his eyes, he decided to nationalize his own resources.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden he became an enemy.
Same thing in the Sahel states.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to show our people, that geopolitically, we are global people, and we are in the best position to take advantage of what's happening, because the world is changing, as you say. And once we unite as a people, it's all over for the imperialist forces.
That's it.
And that's what we are talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we are saying to our people, the movement for national unity locally, we want you to join the movement. Because, like I said before, we are not attacking anybody, we are not calling any names, because you see with the SSZ, people don't start to call people names, And that's exactly what the colonizer want us to do. They want us to keep us divided so they could exploit our resources.
Yeah.
And we are saying that the movement for national unity, we're saying those days are over. Unity is the only solution to this pollution.
Yeah, I'm going to play this final clip, right? Listen to this. This one deals with the way the Western media is silent about certain things, because as used to happen all the time, they used to push their own agenda. Our people were so naive, they would say, oh, well, America, you can't beat America. America's powerful. You're crazy, England this and England that. And we never stopped to realize that all when we were praising them, they were standing on our necks. Okay?
My friends, the headlines you see every day about
Professor Wood.
freedom, democracy, and threats to the global order are not news. They are narratives. They are stories told by a media machine that serves power, not truth. And today, that machine has been unusually silent about something monumental, something that could reshape global economics and geopolitics for decades to come, the new alliance between China and Venezuela. When we talk about global power, we often imagine it as something fixed, as if Washington will always call the shots, as if Wall Street's pulse dictates the rhythm of the entire world. But that illusion is cracking quietly beneath the surface. Something historic is happening, and the U.S. media doesn't want you to see it. Because if you did, you might begin to question everything you've been told about who really holds power in the 21st century. The alliance between China and Venezuela is not just a diplomatic handshake. It's a tectonic shift in global balance, a deliberate challenge to decades of American hegemony in Latin America. For over a century, the United States treated Latin America as its backyard, enforcing control through military interventions, sanctions, and economic dependency. Washington dictated who governed, who traded, and who dared to dissent. But that model is collapsing. When China enters the scene, it does not arrive with Marines or IMF contracts. It arrives with ports, railways, oil investments, and loans without political strings attached. Venezuela, a nation long strangled by U.S. sanctions and portrayed as a failed state, is finding new life through this partnership. That, my friends, is not a small story. That is the kind of story that unsettles the entire foundation of U.S. geopolitical dominance. The silence of the American media is not accidental. It is protection of an illusion that the United States remains the uncontested power in the Western Hemisphere. But in boardrooms from Caracas to Beijing, deals are being signed that completely bypass Washington's authority. Chinese technology firms are modernizing Venezuela's oil infrastructure. Joint development banks are financing telecommunications and energy projects. For the first time in decades, Venezuela is looking eastward for its future, not northward. And in that decision lies the real power shift, a move away from dependence on U.S. capital toward an independent model of development that prioritizes sovereignty over submission. The question is not whether China's influence is growing. It already has. The question is how long the United States can continue pretending that it hasn't, because every time the media avoids covering this new alliance, it reveals more about the fear that drives U.S. foreign policy. Washington fears not Venezuela's oil or China's factories, but the idea that countries can cooperate outside the orbit of American control. That is the ideological threat. A world that trades, builds, and governs without bowing to U.S. approval. Listen closely to the language used by American officials when they talk about China or Venezuela. Authoritarian regimes, anti-democratic forces, strategic threats. These are not neutral terms. They are signals to investors, to allies, to the public. Do not trust what we cannot control. Yet the irony is, while Washington warns about Chinese expansion, it is the U.S. whose military bases circle the planet, whose sanctions cripple economies, whose corporations dictate labor standards across continents. The alliance between China and Venezuela exposes that double standard in full daylight, and that's precisely why the U.S. press avoids it. Imagine for a moment what this means for the rest of the global South. Nations in Africa, Asia, and Latin America are watching Venezuela's recovery and China's steady defiance of sanctions and tariffs. They're watching a model that says, what can build prosperity without obeying Washington? And the more that model succeeds, the weaker the myth of Western superiority becomes. That's not just politics. That's history in motion, the same way the fall of European empires redrew the map in the 20th century. The rise of these alliances is redrawing the economic map of the 21st. Here's the hook: power is shifting. And it's not happening in the halls of Congress or the trading floors of New York. It's happening in the oil fields of the Orinoco Basin, in the shipping ports of Shanghai, in the quiet signing of deals that cut the U.S. dollar out of the equation entirely. The global South is rising not through revolution, but through recalibration, through the simple, radical act of cooperation beyond empire. The United States can ignore this story for now, but it cannot escape its consequences. Because when history moves, silence doesn't stop it, it only delays the moment of reckoning.
And I like that ending. When history moves, silence of the American and the Western media doesn't stop it.
Yeah, that's Professor Wolf.
Yes.
You know, and that's one of my favorite. Because he's an economist.
He is an economist.
Yeah, and what I'm saying, and not only that, a Marxist economist.
That's it.
And what I'm saying is that I listen to him so much. And, you know, we're talking about inflation here. And Professor Wolf said that inflation is just a general increase in prices. And what happens is that the political economy of capitalism, which the United States is in charge of, is in total crisis.
Yeah.
And it started under COVID and continuing to this day. That's why you see now the only option they have in order to put other people in check, other nations, is the military.
Well, I believe it started before COVID, but COVID put everything in such a perspective that it sort of really knocked them back, and they're trying to play.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Because the decline was coming all the time.
Yes,
but what happened that COVID make it more severe.
That's it.
You know? Yeah, I agree with that. So, and we people got to understand these things. And as we said, we don't have a paralysis of analysis. We're dealing with history.
Yes.
This is not new, because in 1929, when you had the economic crisis, when Wall Street collapsed, you see, and as Professor Wolf said, every 4 to 7 years, there's a crisis in the capitalist economy. You see? And we people got to understand these things. is not going to get any better no time soon, because the political readjustment of the world, the United States can achieve it like it used to do before. You see? So we're going to be in a prolonged crisis for a long time.
Yeah.
You know? So I just want our people to know that. But, Brother Quint,
I want you to wrap up.
Okay. Let me wrap up by saying this. What Granny say? One people, one aim, one destiny. What Granny say? Self-respect. What Granny say? Self-esteem. What Granny say? Self-reliance. What Granny say? Self-determination. What Granny say? Black dignity. What Granny say? Babylon fear the black African unity. What Granny say? Fall into defend black dignity. What Granny say? We are recruiting soldiers to defend the African Revolution. And let me end by a speech from His Imperial Majesty, just a short clip. An African unity. Today, we look to the future calmly, confidently, and courageously. We look to the vision of an Africa not merely free but united. In facing this new challenge, we can take comfort and encouragement from the lessons of the past. We know that there are differences among us. Africans enjoy different cultures, distinctive values, special attributes. But we also know that unity can be and has been attained amongst men of the most desperate origin. That differences of race, of religion, of culture, of tradition are no inseparable obstacles to the coming together of peoples. History teaches us that unity is strength and cautions us to submerge and overcome our differences in the quest for common goals, to strive with all our combined strength for the path of true African brotherhood and unity. And as we say here in the Federation, what Granny said, we want you to join the movement for national unity. We are not against anybody. We are saying our people got to unite in order to withstand what is coming to us based from an imperialist and white supremacist point of view. Give thanks. One love.
Well, thank you, and that's how we're going to bring an end to Voices for today. And let me say this, from my perspective, whenever I get here, I come from my own humble point so that I can disseminate something so that you can learn a little bit more, because that is how I learned. I learned from people who were before me. Earlier you had Mr. Larry Ammon in here, and he was commending me, and I had to turn it back to him and commend him, because he was one of those individuals who shaped me back then and who made an impression on me and who I learned from. And so I want you to do the same, learn the little that I can disseminate to you, build upon it, and pass it on. Do take care.
You found the sound.